There we go. Hello, Alex. So just one more second before I introduce you. So people, feel free to write in the chat if you have questions in the stage chat. It is my job here to interrupt Alex and all the other speakers. So I will interrupt you if you allow me to interrupt you during, or if you want the Q&A at the end. That's up to you. I'm sure you'll cover that, but it is my job to interrupt you at the 40-minute mark, so that we can have 5 minutes of Q&A if you want that. If not, then I'll let you go through it, but I will stop you at 45 so we can have the next speaker on. So that's up to you. Just for everyone else, feel free to ask questions. I will keep track of them. And then we'll do that. So without further ado, elevating code quality in Flutter, path to reusable and enterprise-grade solutions. Alex Bordei, take it away.
Thank you. So as a fact, you see that nobody knows the homepage of Stack Overflow. Now probably the homepage of ChatGPT. So let me share my screen. Okay. Welcome all to my presentation. It's very nice to be here, and it is very nice to be online again. Welcome to Elevating Code Quality in Flutter. My name is Alex Bordei, and today we will be exploring how to integrate clean architecture and test-driven development into Flutter projects. So this presentation focus will be more on practical implementation, and I would like to show off how to ensure robust app development in Flutter. So I don't know if I see the chat here. Okay, is everybody seeing my screen and everything is okay? If yes, please just chat Flutter. I just want to make sure everything is okay. Okay, probably is. I don't have any chance just to continue. Okay, so what you'll be learning today, well, we'll be discussing the core principles and benefits of clean architecture in app development. We'll be getting a little understanding of how test-driven development can help us, and also how the block pattern can be seamlessly integrated into our projects. You will see that clean architecture goes hand in hand with state management options. And also we'll be getting a practical demonstration on building an authentication system using those methodologies. My name is Alex Bordei, and it is a really pleasure to be here today, and thank you very much for your invitation. I'll be talking about some Flutter development, but I'm a full stack developer with more than 10 years experience in writing code. I mostly focused on custom development. My journey started from C# and then web development with PHP, Laravel, sort of all the front-end frameworks. And then I discovered Flutter, and then I started apps development, and I found it quite interesting. A part of my professional role, I'm the organizer of Flutter Bucharest meetup and the community of Flutter in Bucharest. So this way I had the privilege to get to know a lot of brilliant minds into Flutter, and to be surprised that we are a lot of developers, Flutter developers in Romania. Also, I'm a speaker and I like to speak to events. And yeah, if you want to talk more about Flutter, you can just drop a DM on Twitter, on Instagram, or yeah, you can tag me now on Instagram or Twitter, because this way I just get to look important on social media. It was supposed to be a joke, but it's hard to joke when you're presenting. This is our Flutter Bucharest community, wonderful Flutter Bucharest community. We started 3 years ago. We are over 600 members with 7 volunteers and 3 sponsors. Over 28 monthly events happened into the past, and more than 10 conferences as a community partner. So our community is dedicated to connecting Flutter enthusiasts in Bucharest. So we all wait for you. I'm not missing any chance to share the meetup with everybody. We are meeting on the last Tuesday, hybrid. You can join it online also. And from 3 to 3 months, we are organizing events in collaboration with GDG Bucharest. So there are a lot of opportunities for networking, getting some exclusive event discounts for members, and you will be getting a preview to local presentation for local or European presentations, like premiere style. Okay, good. So you can get involved, become a speaker if you want to share your knowledge. There are volunteer opportunities. Those are our 1 second wonderful volunteers. This one, those one on the right. So also there's a call for sponsor. If we are pretty cheap, we need some pizza. So if someone wants to bring us pizza to our monthly events, we are more than happy to host. Good. So let's get to the hot topic. What is clean architecture? So, well, clean architecture involves structuring the app into layers of responsibility, ensuring high scalability, manageability, and adaptability to changes. So this is a crucial factor into enterprise environments. And I found that quite interesting into app development because it gets very easy to reusable code, and the cost of developing in time, it is like cheaper, and you can develop faster. um, I will be not asking what Flutter, if you know about Flutter, but mainly Flutter is a UI framework powered by Google that is squishing other cross-platform frameworks. It is really well written. Dart is very powerful for Flutter, so the results are now over 10 million apps are launched into App Store, and there are over 3 million developers that are calling themselves developers in Flutter. So I see quite of agitation on getting jobs on Flutter and companies that are onboarding the product. Good. For clean architecture, the core principles that we are discussing today will be about independence of frameworks, so allows enterprise to avoid lock-in with specific vendors of technologies. It is quite useful if you're especially a freelancer or a small agency, and you use mostly the same backends or the same structures on backends, and you want to reuse a lot of your code base. It is testable. It is very easy to test and to write tests for clean architecture written code. And the most important thing, it is independent of UI, database, or external agencies. So this is actually the hot point of clean architecture. You get somehow a core that can be moved, and all you have to do to customize that core is to just change the data layer, which is basically resuming to some API calls, and how to translate those APIs, like just pointing with the models. And also the presentation layer, you can just change the UI and get the same feature again and again. Advantages, manageability. Um, it is the concept of separation of concerns, which I like the most. Basically, it's about managing lab development code into specific layer. You see the presentation layer, the data layer, and also the domain layer. It is very nice for usability. Components developed for one project can be easily repurposed for others, reducing time to market and fostering a culture of modular development. Scalability, clean architecture make it easier to scale the application horizontally or vertically, and this helps a lot. You'll see how powerful it is. And also, by reusing the same contracts, you reduce the risk by allowing critical parts of the system to be changed or upgraded without significant downtime or impact on components, especially when you want to deploy. Okay, so this is about clean architecture. We will be getting into code very soon. But also, I find quite interesting, and this is something that Devin AI is really pointing it on, and this is test-driven development, which is more a development approach, where tests are written before the code that needs to be tested. And usually, as a programmer, I don't like to see red lines on my code. This means like I did something wrong, but with sufficient focus and some extensions to our IDEs, you can get this TDD cycle, which is mostly is having three main phases. The first phase is red, because you will be writing a failing test that defines a desired improvement or a new function. And also, your job from that point is to make that test green. So you'll be writing the minimum amount of code necessary to pass the test. So you have a test that should, I don't know, 2 + 3 gets 5. That will not work because you don't have the implementation. You make the implementation, so you are making it green, especially if you're imagining a CI pipeline when you see that action green or red. And also there is a third factor, which is refactoring, cleaning up the code and while ensuring that all the tests still pass. So the TDD cycle is straightforward but very powerful. Like starting with the red phase, we'll be writing the test that fails and then make the implementation and then refactor the way that we want. This is this helps a lot, especially for the developers that are having a lot of I don't know, the developers that need to jump from a technology to another, from an environment to another, because and also when you want to develop your own product, because it gets to this principle, which is Yagni. Uh, for me, it started to be a way to think, integrating TDD with the principle of Yagni, or you aren't gonna need it, ensures that we avoid adding unnecessary functionality, and it is very very nice for efficiency and focus on what do we have to do. So it's pretty simple. We constrain ourselves to a single test, and then we solve that problem. This is why, as a fact, this is why Devin AI gets really powerful, because it focuses on solving the problem, like making the test green, and this way the implementation, the way that was implemented, it is just a matter of optimization. It is not a matter of functionality. So this is why it is so powerful. So getting back to TDD, applying TDD in Flutter development not only increases the reliability of our application, but also fits perfectly with the modular and component-driven nature of the framework. And it allows us to confidently build and iterate, knowing our foundation is solid. And also, it will not crash when you put a action pipeline for GitHub or something. Or make sure that you will be not adding features that crash the app in production. Okay, also we'll be touching the business logic component pattern, which is a popular approach in Flutter to manage state and handle business logic separately from UI components. To be clear, clean architecture allows you to use any state management that you want. I'm usually using block because I like it. It is pretty clear for me how to develop on it. But you can use everything that you want. Block for me offers several advantages by enforcing the separation of concerns into states, events, and the block itself. It ensures that UI elements are not cluttered with business logic, which is a common issue into many app developments. If you are coming from React, you certainly know about this. Also in Flutter is the same. So in this small demo, we'll be talking about integrating block with clean architecture. We are referring to placing the block on the domain layer. I will be actually, if the time permits, I will be actually showing how the block was implemented in a boilerplate app that will be extending a little. So yeah, a block will be acting like an intermediary between the presentation layer and the data layer, and this placement reinforces the clean architecture's goal of creating independent layers that are only concerned with their specific roles. Okay, we'll be taking questions after the demo. So let's go to the dark side. Dark side is this. So I prepared myself an app. I think you should be seeing it. One second. Let's confirm that I'm sharing the right thing. Okay. So this is an app. This have been okay. This have been written in Flutter, and it is a login system, authentication system. Let me bring the code base, and I feel like the code base looks like this. I hope you see my code really well. Seems pretty enough. Okay, so mainly we'll be discussing the structure of the app, and we'll be adding a small little feature just to prove how clean architecture can be extended. So basically, everything goes from this features folder. In clean architecture, we call a feature something that is doing something. So the authentication system is mainly something specific. It is in charge of making the authentication. But if you have like, I don't know, a checkout process, the checkout process itself can be a feature. So feature is something that we define as and also there is a rule. You can decide easily if that is a feature or just a use case. We'll be getting to use case in a moment. If you can run, if you implement that feature, you can run it by itself. Like you can create an app just with that feature. That feature becomes like a mini app into Flutter, which is pretty nice to know, because then you create like a puzzle piece that you can connect in the future with other puzzle pieces. Yeah, each feature should be able to run by itself. So our first feature is called authentication. And in clean architecture, the concept is we have a data layer, which is mainly responsible for getting the data, translating the data, like querying a database, querying an API, I don't know, getting something from JSON files locally. There is the domain layer, which is basically what makes the feature portable.
Alex,
Yeah.
sorry, a second. Could you please increase the font?
Well, I think I need to change the resolution this way because
Okay.
one second, one second.
The people in the chat demand an increased font.
I'm sorry, I cannot see the chat here. So
No, that's fine. It's my job to do that,
okay,
to announce you of these things. Don't worry about it.
I have the option to make it lower, I think. Oh, this Mac is so powerful that allows me to make it lower. Actually, not.
Can you not
um,
like Command Plus or something in VS Code? Does that not work on Mac?
yeah, but this will not be increasing the column left. Like I can do like this. One second. Oh, thank
Okay,
you very much. Problem
sweet,
solved.
cool. All right.
Good. So we were on the domain layer. Domain layer is basically the implementation structure. It contains a lot of, in clean architecture, they are calling like contracts. Well, not just in clean architecture, but mainly there are abstract classes that are forcing the data layer to send specific structured data to the domain layer, and the presentation layer to get the right data from the domain layer as well. So everything starts like this is the way that I understood clean architecture. So if I'm doing any mistakes, sorry, but bear with me because I got the successful implementation. So this means like it is quite right. So we have the feature, like for us, it's the whole authentication system, and also each action that you can define on that feature, it is called a use case. So what a user can do in an authentication system in a mobile app? Well, it can log in, it can register, we can get the user details. I don't know, maybe we can store them later. And also there is another action that we'll be implementing today. This is the forget password action. So this is how it starts, and you will see a little of this red face, green face, and how the feature is forcing us to actually implement quite right if the structure is already defined. So let's take, for example, um, the login use case. The login use case, so everything starts from the domain, from the contract of use case. So this is a class that it is calling a method from repository. Repository contains um, basically the contract of the implementation that you will see also into the data layer. The repository folder is the single common folder that data and domain layer are sharing, because here we have the contracts and here we have actually the implementation of the contracts. So we start with login. Well, we defined, because we want, there are also a really important thing, and sorry for jumping around, the core folder. The core folder contains actually what features are sharing between them. So in my case, there are some exceptions, some use cases structures. The network info is something that I want to share between features. So basically, everything that stands for multiple features than just one goes into the core folder, and it is shared around the application. For this example, I need a parameter in login. I need something that can wrap up parameters that I want to send. So I created this use case class for being able to just construct the data that I want and send it to the use case. Let's also create a class that is void use case, because I want, for forgot password, we are not returning anything. We are just giving an alert, everything was good. And we will be having here a type, or we can put directly, let's put a type, and there are params. Yeah, we can put like this. And it will return a feature of void with this method call, which is basically a method that gets called into Dart immediately after instantiating. So this is a code in Dart. I think we can put also here, like, let's put like this. Okay, so basically I created a use case that is returning nothing, a feature of nothing, of nothing, of no result. Here we expect a type. This can work also, but this is more like you understand more what you wait for that use case. You'll see the implementation in a few. So we have the login use case, and also we have the repository, because from the repository we are looking for that method that is defined into contract. That method you will see in the repository is containing the I don't know in Romanian is the structure of the methods, yeah, that gets extended, and also waits for a user entity. Okay, an entity is something like a model, but it is just an abstract class with the properties of the method and no implementation. The difference between an entity and a model, because we also work with the user model here in the data layer, is, and this is how they are pointing to it, like a user model usually contains methods that are doing something, that are doing the conversion between, I don't know, from JSON, from XML, from any type of data. And this is something that is more related to the data layer. Like if I'm pointing to Firebase, probably I will be receiving an XML, for example. Or if I'm going to Supabase, I'm receiving a JSON. The way that gets into the structure that we require, and the structure is fixed, remember, it's a contract, is by extending that user entity. And this is like structure. This is not containing any conversion methods. So everything that should point this data, I put it the right way, it is into the data layer after querying an API or the data repo. Okay, so for us, we'll be creating a new use case. new use case, forgot password dot dart. Okay, good. Okay, so let's create a class. We don't have any parameters. Do we have? We need to pass an email. So let's create for the sake of art, but you can put just a string instead of login params. But let's go for it. Like class forgot password params, and this is string. Sorry, string email. We can put final string email like this, and also, also we can add it into constructor as required. Yeah, so we have this forgot password params. More, we need to extend the use case because we need to put this data and accept something to happen. So we have class forgot password use case extends, and we have void use case here. Okay, by having a void and forgot password params. Okay, and now this is test driven development because we extend something void use case. And in this use case we need to implement also the call method. Now we know that this call method should be implemented into the use case, and we can take the final auth repository, and this will, let's take it from constructor as well, and this will await repository. What happened? Wait, something is happening here. Okay, the method that we'll be calling is forgot password by this params email. Perfect. So my anthropic model is doing the job. I will show you also a really nice AI tool that I'm using for developing, especially Flutter. Okay, so this is the red face here. We need to implement the forget password. You need to get rid of this anxiety of seeing something red and being like, everything needs to be perfect. Then we can go to the authentication repository and define here that we have a feature that is returning nothing called forgot password, and here we have string email. Okay, basically now we solved the use case. Okay, let's see, forget password, everything is good. But another red face is now flagging, and this is very nice because it somehow leading my steps to development. It is the data layer. Data layer now in repository says, you have the authentication repository, you added a new method which is called um, get how forget password, sorry. It was my wife calling and I got panicked. So basically we need to implement that override as well. Again, red phase, we are making it green now. Yeah, so it is somehow leading our baby steps implementation. Forget password here, we can there is a service that I'm using. I will show you how I also use dependency injection to put this in common. So we have like a wait, let's see, network info. We need to make this call just if it is connected. And we are not returning actually nothing. We are just calling remote data source forgot password by email. I know there is a lot of code, but again, the promise of this is like you can just copy paste it and put it in whatever app you want, and it will get 5 minutes to customize it, and this is it. Okay, because we have wait here, we need to make this method async, and otherwise we can throw this exception, which is a really good exception: no internet connection. Yeah, so the app is working with um, checking the internet before calling the API. Okay, so now we have the remote data source. Data source is into the data model. Okay, we have it here, and this is actually the implementation that we need. So basically, this is where the API is calling. I know there can be a lot of code. I will copy paste it and explain it, or I don't know. Let's write it actually. So it is feature of void, yeah, and we have for that password. I feel like something is missing, and I think because also yeah, we can define also a contract here just to force the implementation, and this can be basically forgot password and string email, and now it will force us to overwrite the method, which is again a really nice flag in order to know what you have to do. And now we are just focusing on implementing. In my head are like, okay, I can then store some persistent data, but those should be again use cases defined. So Yagni is working. What do we have here? Well, mainly we have to take the Supabase instance. I'm using the Supabase backend here. So Supabase equals Supabase, Supabase. This is a singleton, so we take the client. Okay, so we have a try catch. Okay, and let's see, what do we have here? It is Supabase, Supabase dot, and here this is a method from the Supabase library, which is called, I think, user or not, Supabase authentication. One second. I forgot it. So we reset password for email. Yeah. So this is what we do: reset password for email, and yeah, we are catching any exception, sending it to as a server exception. Server exception is again a structure that we. One second. What it says async modifier, because we have a wait in the call here. Or do we have a wait? Okay, no, this is good. Server exception is in the core folder on exceptions because it contains this message. Like I know that if I'm sending an exception, I can probably make get message on it, or just send it um, um, to string. But it is like it is helping me a lot to define what kind of exception I received. Okay, so let's analyze it again. We have the domain layer with, so we have the use case, yeah, forget password. It is implementing what in repository we defined as a method. We are not using any entity, but in case we are using any entity, this is the entity that we are mainly using for the login system, ID, name, email. So you can point this to a WordPress API or Firebase API without any problems. You just need to change the CRL, and you can export it from Postman. So it is simple as that. Into the data layer, we have the implementation, which is basically checking the internet connection and calling this forget password. The forget password comes from the data source. Our data source is Supabase. We are not using the user model, but usually if we return the user model, that is based on the user entity. And also, so basically we implemented the functionality. We now have to implement also the presentation layer, which in the presentation layer, we need to create a new page. So let's create a new page, it is for forgot password page.dart. Okay, and we have a stateful widget. Forgot password. Oh my god, password page. Okay, and I want you to see here, like we'll be returning a scaffold for sure, but from this point, I will ask my good friend Claude 3 model from Anthropic to make this implementation for me. So if I'm hitting Option K or Control Alt key on Windows, I will write like create a form with an email field and validation and controllers um, and this is it, and a submit button. But I don't want to do it here because it will be a class. I want to reuse everything, so I will be selecting everything and then prompt. And now look how nice is this Claude 3 model. I find it quite better than. So it creates me the controllers exactly the way that I want. It is updating a form with a column and the text form field, also adding the validation, some decoration if you need it, and everything that I need to do is just submit the form. So basically, it is what I wanted to be, especially for a boilerplate. With a single mention here, I would like to, but I haven't specified in the prompt, I would like to center everything. Okay, so if we take a look on our forgot password page, let's see, it is like this. Okay, so probably we need a little padding. I think it will respond very well if I'm asking to stylize it the way that he wants, but let's not get into using AI prompts for the moment. So on this padding, on this form, we'll be adding a padding. Okay, let's do it of 25. Okay, and this is like this. Okay, so basically our screen is not doing nothing. This is just the layer because we need to connect the clean architecture, sorry, through block. So in our block, we have states and events. The event that we want to catch is forgot password button pressed, which extends this authentication event. This is how our block is called. Do we need here something? Yes, we need a final string email because this is a parameter that we are taking, and also we can generate the constructor, okay, and make it constant, okay. Then if we click that, we'll be getting so authentication success and error. Like we can use authentication failure for sure for returning, but we are not returning a user. So we need to, on forgot password, we need to be like forgot password success, okay, which extends also the auth state, okay. And here, this is not doing nothing, but I just mentioned because I like the, this is why I love block. It is very clear to see what it happens. So into the block, we also define a new, like we have here the auth event that is catching the type of the event. In our case, we have like else new keyboard, sorry. It is not, I have a mechanical keyboard, but I prefer to do this on Mac. So if the event that we are sending, that we are catching is forgot password pressed, yeah, we can try catch, oh, this is again Claude 3, and I can just put it, let it do his job, and I think it should be, okay. So what implemented, basically, it is calling from the repository, it is calling the forgot password with the email that we are sending through the event that will be from the front, from the screen. We emit forget password success in case everything goes well, or otherwise we emit this authentication failure. Perfect. So the implementation was at a single tab. I find this also quite powerful, more powerful than Copilot in some cases. So yeah, I'm not doing any commercial. I just want to share with you that it's really powerful. So now we need to just connect the forget password page. No, Mike, don't tell me that I'm finished.
Oh, I was gonna tell you have 5 more minutes.
Oh, it's enough.
I don't see any questions in the chat as of yet. So if you want, you can use your 5 minutes to finish up. And if there are questions, I'll interrupt you. So
Okay, thank you
go
very
for it.
much. So yeah, I'm providing really, really, really fast. I'm providing the block to um, to the screen. I get emotional now because Mike was saying that I have not more than 5 minutes. Okay, so now the authentication block is available for this form, and here we wrap it everything with a block consumer. Block consumer is containing two methods, the listener and the builder. For the listener, let's use again Cloud Free because we need to like um, show a toast message with success. I wrote it very badly. So it goes, and yeah, there's a snack bar, perfectly exactly what I wanted. So let's um, okay, and here we can just create a if state is auth loading, then return a center. It is already with a circular progress indicator. Else if else, oh my god, those 5 minutes. State is auth auth success. We already have that pop-up. So if it is failure, let's put the error, or else it is returning the form. So this should be working. Okay, let's restart the app and see. Basically, I have already an account. It is alex.bordei@widget.row. We submit, and I don't know. Oh, and yeah, it is one more thing. We need to add this into the block. So it is context read authentication block, and this is not forgot password button pressed. It was, yeah, forgot password. What is the event? I forgot the event name, sorry. It is forgot password button pressed, but it was not highlighting. Okay, so basically now it should. Okay, so we need to see, let's prove it. We need to see actually that it works. So I see I'm incognito. I received the email. I will show you on my phone directly. If you see my screen, there is a mail from Supabase, which is saying, one second. Look, 9, this is it, like reset password. It says like, it works. Yeah, I proved it. Okay, if there are any questions.
There are actually, but I don't know how much we're on time. I think we can go 1 or 2 minutes if you rush the answer. You got an encouragement. You're doing great, so that's good from the chat. And then you had two questions. Instead of block, what other patterns do you recommend? What about providers?
Yeah, well, I find provider and river pod, like provider I'm mostly using when I have little features, and from the community side, also global, they are promoting a lot riverpod, and they like more riverpod than block. I stick with block because it's enough for me, but riverpod seems to be the winner.
Okay, and then the last question: how does a work day look like for a Flutter developer?
Well, as a freelancer, mostly betting on Upwork and all. Now, so it is mobile development. Depends on what you want to do. I'm mostly working. I have my own startup that I'm creating a marketplace app for this fiscal register in Romania. We integrated in Flutter the card payment, barcode scanner, and also the printer, thermal printer, and card reader. This is Android 10. Also, we have tests with Flutter on Raspberry Pi. We linked it together with everything, thermal printers, cache acceptors. We like to really put Flutter into the core of Raspberry Pi. So this is like, it is more like a startup freelancer. When I have to work, I'm just working. When I have to um, create my own product, I'm innovating a lot in Flutter because it supports a lot of innovation. We put Flutter, we have results in Windows. We have results also by remotely controlling microcontrollers by rendering the Flutter interface on this. With also some of them are having touchscreen, so it's really enjoying. It's a wonderful world now.
One final question that just came in how many languages can we write the code? Which Gen AI model have you tested to generate the code?
Okay. Well, ChatGPT, which is pretty good, but you need to be patient to read. I'm writing PHP with Cloud Free, and Copilot works really well, and ChatGPT knows TypeScript. Actually, this is the way that I learned to write edge functions into Supabase by using Cloud Free, this model that I was showing you for TypeScript. So yeah, you just have to go to see the top AIs. I want to test the 4.0 GPT 4.0 now, probably it's better, and then I just consider the top ones and had really good results. So, but mainly they're all doing the same job. Like for small snippets, this is an easy job for an AI now. You just need to make sure that you're implementing what has to be implemented. I had an intern into my company that was just copy pasting GPT, and we allowed him, and now we are having a really, really big coding debt.
Oof. Well, thank you very much, Alex. Everyone, an imaginary round of applause because we can't hear everyone, but yeah,
Like this.
yeah. Yeah, so thank you very much, Alex. I am now going to remove you as a presenter. So yeah, thanks again for the presentation. Everyone, make sure to follow Alex, and if you have further questions, to get in touch with him on, as he said, Instagram and Twitter. Get him more social media famous.
Thank you. It's very hard. Okay, it was very nice. Thank you for your invitation, and have a nice conference, guys. Bye.
Cool. Thank you very much. Have a good day.